there was no quorum. Members walked out. Everybody is worried that we are going on recess for 2 months. Up to now, we have not got CDF money. Children are going to school in January, and most of the children, they depend on these the bursaries from CDF. Maybe you can give us a statement on that, because the first thing we are going to be asked is that we met with the CS. What did he say? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, CS. So there's just a rider on that. This has been a thorn in the flesh for many Kenyans, and as CS issue of NGCDF funding. And the other time, you remember the last time when we were in Mombasa, it also brought a stalemate. I don't know why it really has to keep on recurring this fund, this disbursement, yet it is quite sensitive for members and it is quite sensitive for the country. So probably as you respond, you would also like to see in future, would not like to see these kind of ugly scenarios, especially on this particular fund. Thank you.
You can go on, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me say this, and with a lot of humility, because I came in very late last night or early this morning, and I was coming from COP28, and we take advantage of the COP28 to actually talk to bilaterals, and that's why His Excellency is actually in India right now. The message is very clear for us, is that things we don't know. The other day I was saying, kwa nini hii dunia imetuthuru namna hii? We have to understand, it is our country, dear members, and we have to understand. I narrated the whole situation. We had a big session where I said, in 1 year, Kenya has gone into two extremes. There's a severe drought, and now there is El Nino. In both cases, we have reallocated budget, supplementary budget, and recurrent budget, and even development budget to save lives in both cases. At the same time, because those extremes also create a recession, we are not getting adequate tax revenues. So you can imagine, in fact, if the chairman can tell you, when you devour the development budget, it means that you remove the capacity for even future growth. So in a sense, we are struggling just to be on the same position. And that's why we actually, that's the same message I had in Marrakech, was that we are facing a serious liquidity crisis, and that is why we can't come in as fast as we would like to. But it's not a solvency problem. But sometimes people are rushed to say, we want the money today, otherwise you are dead on arrival. Sorry for using that word. But you end up taking measures to solve the problem, but those measures are not well coordinated, and they can actually ignite solvency challenges. We want to avoid that. But we are working very hard so that even before Christmas, we make sure that we make some few steps. By the way, I can tell you, we are even having trouble with salaries. We are clearing salaries with arrears. Okay? Just imagine that. The first thing we can do, and you are familiar with this story, is that we cannot default on external debt because our credibility is going to be ruined. It takes the first charge. But the team in the Treasury are working very hard. In fact, that's what I started looking at in the morning. I was even called by the governor in Nairobi County telling me that, look, I'm going to be impeached. What are we going to do? I have not given salaries. You can imagine it's a liquidity issue which is short term, but we are going to get there. We are going to get there very soon. We are working very hard round the clock to make sure that we are doing that. Most countries have recognized what kind of economies like ours, especially in the Horn of Africa, are facing the same problem, and they are coming up with budget support. We are signing supports from different countries. So we are going to ride over this. But in the meantime, we are just begging for a little bit of time. We are working 24 hours to make sure that we resolve this. And we want to make sure that how we resolve it also does not ignite solvency challenges. So we're going to be there. But it's only that we cannot get what we want at the time we really desperately want it. But we be sure that tomorrow, the next day, life is also going to give us some signal. In fact, the pattern of rainfall is helping us even to actually distribute relief partner, even support, even evacuating people who are in dangerous places. Remember, when the rains were going on, it was impossible to do that. So at least in every crowd, there is a silver lining that we are trying to utilize, and we are going to make sure that we utilize it to the maximum. Thank you very much, and I hope you bear with me and my colleagues at the Treasury and the totality of the government. We are all facing that crisis.
Yes.
Buenos CS, thank you so much for that elaborate explanation, but I would also like to ask, yesterday we saw an increase of interest rate from to 12.5. What is the effect on the domestic debt in that rise? Thank you.
Yes, Mheshimiwa. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Now, Buenos CS, I would like to say that I represent a rural area in Parliament, and I know what people are saying. We want to save your neck, Buenos CS. We are in a problem. You know, this is your second year. You are on with second year in office, but things have not been good. You remember when we were in Mombasa, we had to walk out in protest so that we get CDF. Our position at that time was threatened by Wananchi, saying, if we don't get CDF, you are going to see our wrath. Now we seem to be facing the same thing in our second year again. And why I feel concerned much is that the background of what is happening makes people wonder why we cannot even get CDF as we were doing before the current regime. One thing is that we are paying too much tax. And when you pay much tax, you expect revenue to be a lot more than before. The contrary is the situation. We seem not to be having any money at all, not just for CDF, but for everything. But CDF is touching the hearts of people. Buenos CS, I know if we go home without CDF, and we are going home the next day after tomorrow, closing Bunge tomorrow. If we go without any CDF money, we are just going to plunge ourselves into a burning fire. I was in the chamber when the speaker was on the floor. He explained to us that we are going to give some mere 9 billion Kenya shillings, which will be paid by about 20th of this month. 9 billion is nothing, really, zero. That therefore means by January we will not be having money to give bursary. All mothers, fathers are going to run to us, we MPs, forcing us to give them something for fees. And of course, you know, if the government cannot do it, who are we to do what the government cannot do as individuals? Buenos CS, you are putting us in a problem. So my last take is, whatever you can do, please make sure we do have money to pay bursary, because with us it is going to be simple. We will say, we spoke with the CS, he knows our concern. If your child is not going to school, don't hold me responsible because I pay tax. Hold the CS responsible. This is a plea, and I say it is a plea from Wananchi, not from me,
okay,
as a person.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairman. Oh, sorry.
I don't want to read from the book of Lamentation. I want to read from the book of Ecclesiastes to encourage you, Buenos CS. I have known you as a honest and a truthful man. Please share the truth before time catches up with you. Share the truth. Say, kimeumana. Give me time, kidogo. You will be able to sort out the problem. With a pledge of about 9 billion, if it is shared by the 290 constituencies, you will get about 30 million or 20 something million per constituency for bursary. I want to encourage you that now we are done with 844. So the class 8 exams, they have no chance of repeating because the curriculum behind them is completely different. So all of them must proceed to high school. What does that mean? It implies that there will be need of bursaries for many Kenyan children because we can't go back there. So I encourage you to push a little bit. If you can be able to double that to 18B or just work on a percentage between 40 to 50% release. You can suspend the money that you want to give to subsidy to push the sugar cane and other things. Suit the children of Kenya because that is the fabric of this nation. That is where it holds. I want to encourage you to explore options before Parliament start giving you serious demands. You have the capacity to hold some things that can hold. You know, even the fertilizer subsidy that we gave budget of about 8 billion can hold because it is meant for the next season for fertilizer. That's around March, April. But children are January 39. So there are things in this budget that you can hold for the sake of the children of Kenya. So offer to you, CS, continue being truthful, but that truthful should always come in good time.
Okay.
Thank you very much, and I've heard you, I've listened to you. This is a new administration. The other one is the regime. Please, let's make a difference. But the new administration faces the reality and tells the reality the way it is. But we are also sure that the world has mistreated us quite for 1 year. You can see the extremes, but let's hold on. We are trying to everything, just like you have said. Anything that is possible that can be done will be done to make sure that we don't get into that situation. The second one is that, Mheshimiwa, everybody is complaining that the exchange rate depreciation is actually feeding into domestic prices, which is pushing inflation. You have seen the question I was asked in your committee the other day, Mr. Chairman, why are we coming to the supplementary in the first quarter? What didn't you know? And I gave 2 examples. One is the devastating consequences of what we are facing, but the other one was actually the exchange rate movements and international interest structure is actually amplifying our external debt repayments and had increased our debt by 145 billion. That is close to 0.9% of the GDP, and it was threatening to raise our deficit from 4.4 to 5.3, which was unacceptable. In the end, we were only able to accommodate 0.3% to 4.7%, but it means that we have to raise 0.6%, that's about 90 billion, and we can raise that by, 1, lower the expenditure by that amount, or look for resources elsewhere. That's why our leaders, His Excellency, is very busy contacting our friends so that we see how we can ride over that. So it means that we need a drastic policy action to halt this movement. But of course, I don't like talking about monetary policy a lot because the gurus are here. You know, I'm conflicted because I was a governor of the central bank. And I think those days, I think, were those days, you see, you don't want to leave part. But I think Matu, do you want to mention what you anticipate with this? Because it's very important that he has mentioned it. What do we anticipate?